as well, and to address our audience online. So good morning and good evening, everyone who's following us online as well. My name is Mirey Atallah. I head the Adaptation and Resilience branch in UNEP's Climate Change Division, and I will be the moderator for today. So today we are gathered here for a session that will be looking at the enhancing the resilience of critical infrastructure through nature-based solutions. This is the last of a suite of 3 events that we co-hosted together with the Ministry of Environment of Italy. The first one where we launched the Nature-Based Solutions Infrastructure Accelerator project. The second one, which happened this morning, where we witnessed the launch of the UNECE report on nature-based solutions, infrastructure and health. And now we're actually effectively starting the implementation, I would say, of our NBSIA project, and it's a great pleasure for us to be here. And hi, Noel. We will be starting off our event today with a keynote address by the Director General of the Ministry of Environment. And the whole idea behind this event today and the project is to acknowledge the fact that there is no development without grey infrastructure, but that the way that grey infrastructure investments have been done so far do not necessarily take into consideration resilience that is brought by nature-based solutions or climate impacts that we will be facing in the future. So this will be the gist of our event today, and I would like to now call the Director General for his keynote address. Over to you, please.
Thank you so much for the floor. So distinguished guests, dear colleagues, partners, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to this second event dedicated to Nature-Based Solution Innovation Accelerator Initiative. 2 days ago, we officially launched its vision. Today, here, we want to focus on concrete actions, on how to turn this vision into tangible projects that strengthen critical infrastructure around the world. The data is clear. A significant percentage of global economic growth is put at risk each year by the climate vulnerability of our infrastructure. Roads, ports, energy, and water networks are the circulatory system of our economies and societies. When they are hit, the consequences ripple through jobs, supplies, and quality of life, especially in the most vulnerable countries. Italy, through our Ministry of Environment and Energy Security, has chosen to face this challenge with a spirit of cooperation and with an innovative tool, the so-called Nature-Based Solution Innovation Accelerator. We want to bring the nature-based solution because they are not just a green alternative, but a smart, efficient, and economically advantageous choice. Coastal dunes protecting a coastal road, or vegetation stabilizing a slope above a railway, wetlands naturally purifying water. These are few examples of natural infrastructure working alongside built infrastructure, reducing maintenance costs, increasing asset lifespan, and generating ecological and social co-benefits. With the Nature-Based Solution Accelerator, we want to build a bridge between global ambition and local needs, between climate finance and bankable projects on the ground, between scientific excellence and applied engineering solutions. Our goal is to support partner countries in identifying, developing, and financing pilot projects that integrate nature-based solutions into critical infrastructure, starting with the priority region of the Maritime Plan in Africa, but also in Central Asia. I thank our partner at UNEP, the Multilateral Development Bank presence, and the government representatives who are sharing this path with us. Your expertise is crucial in defining the right condition to secure investment. You can count on the Italian commitment in building such a platform and working all together to try to advance on supporting infrastructure through nature-based solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director General, and it's a pleasure for UNEP to be part of this initiative and taking it forward. So now I would like to invite my panelists. Mr. Dastan Abdillayev from Kyrgyzstan, Ms. Noelle O'Brien, Director of Climate Change at the Asian Development Bank, Ms. Alessandra Fidanza, Senior Expert at the Ministry of Environment. Please take a seat. We can spread. Unfortunately, due to the internet connectivity here, we are able to stream out, but we are not able to connect our online participants. We will have a recorded video also from Mrs. Bouchafari from Morocco. So I would first like to start off with a question to Mr. Dastan from a country perspective. So to you, do you see any opportunities of integrating nature-based solutions into built infrastructure in Kyrgyzstan? And do you have any examples that you can share, also maybe focusing on some of the needs? What do you need? What would you need to scale up that combination of gray and green infrastructure? Over to you.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much, Alessandra, and Alessandro as well for inviting and then for providing opportunity to share with our national perspectives and for the UNEP for organizing such an important meeting. First of all, dear colleagues, you know that Kyrgyzstan is high mountains country, more than 90% of our territory covered by mountain. And then you can imagine how important nature-based solution in Kyrgyzstan, countries like Kyrgyzstan. And we are quite highly vulnerable to the frequent floods, mud flow, landslides, water shortages. So those problems are increasing. That infrastructure, that roads, bridges, and power lines, and reservoirs, water supply system, all of them are affected by those hazards, which is happening, unfortunately, quite often in recent days and years. So regarding opportunities for integrating MBC in Kyrgyzstan, I think yes, yes, and yes. Why? We clearly see opportunities to integrate MBC into the built infrastructure, and then, of course, recently we try to practice more. And then I wanted to provide some small examples on in which areas or in which projects we try to implement nature MBCs in Kyrgyzstan. For example, the slope and watershed stabilization used forest and grassland restoration is helping to reduce landslides and erosion along the mountain roads and railways in Kyrgyzstan. Another example is that reforestation and ecosystem restoration measures have been used to protect irrigation canals, bridges, and rural settlements in disaster-prone valleys. Those are small but quite important examples in terms of using nature-based solution in Kyrgyzstan. So that the question was, what is needed to scale up? So in that regard, I can say that, first of all, that increase access to predictable climate finance and conventional resources are very important in order to scale up this project. Like developing countries like our need support, incorporate MBCs to the certain area of predictability. So another area is needed is that stronger policy and regulatory framework. All we know that we are now working to integrate MBCs more systematic way into the National Adaptation Plan. By the way, we just recently adopted our National Adaptation Plan, which is very much focused on MBC measures as well. And then, of course, another area is to integrate MBC is to the infrastructure standards and building codes. Kyrgyzstan also now try to integrate more green requirements to the building codes as well. Then another area is very much relevant to our country is mountain strategies. Exactly, Kyrgyzstan now developed 5-year mountain development strategy, and then that strategy is very much included MBMBS to our countries as well. Another area is, of course, capacity building, local skills is obvious, and then finally that community participation, I think, is very much important. Otherwise, without direct involvement, communities who lived in rural areas, in mountainous areas, these measures cannot be effectively implemented. And of course, in conclusion, I can say that Kyrgyzstan strongly believes that a nature-based solution represents win-win for the climate adaptation, resilient infrastructure, as well as economic value and environmental integrity. And then based on it, we are more than welcome that initiatives such as nature-based solution innovation accelerator, and look forward to working with the partners like including UNEP, Italian government, and then other development partners in order to scale up and integrate MBC policies into Kyrgyzstan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dastan. May I ask you to pass the mic to Noel now? Noel, multilateral development banks generally have a large infrastructure portfolio. Can you share the Asian Development Bank's experience in integrating nature-based solutions into your infrastructure portfolio from a climate resilience point of view? What do you offer? What can countries expect also going forward, considering that we are in a overshoot scenario and that climate impacts are increasing? So how do you see it from the MDB point of view and from the Asian Development Bank in particular, as Central Asia is one of the focus regions of this project? Over to you, Noel.
Thank you, and thank you to UNEP and the team for inviting ADB to be part of this conversation. So just a little bit of background on Asian Development Bank. So the region we cover with investments extends from Turkey right through to the Pacific region. So we have multiple situations in which, all across the region, climate risk is increasing, and obviously there are major impacts with that. And we see that in the context of the coastal implications. We've heard from Kyrgyzstan, but also conversation with Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan the other day, where almost 40% of Tashkent's air pollution is coming from dust, coming off land that's been cleared. We work with 4 atolls from Maldives, Marshall Islands, Kiribati, so with sea level rise, reef degradation. So really multiple situations in which climate-related risk is increasing. So, and in many cases, the traditional grey infrastructure solutions are just no longer sufficient. It is one is the uncertainty. We talked about it yesterday, the fact that we're seeing compounding events. So sometimes they may be sequential, but sometimes you may have an extreme drought, which is then followed by extreme rainfall and flooding. And of course, I can't go without saying places like Pakistan and India, which have suffered really intense flooding this year. So, for integrating nature-based solutions unlocks multiple other benefits as we work through this. In many cases, they help buffer climate and disaster impacts. They may also enhance the ecosystem health, and they may generate social and economic co-benefits. We implement a GCF investment in Shandong within PRC. And in that context, one of the very important parts is to look at the absorption capacity of cities, wetlands. So we have that sump implication benefit. We've been doing quite a lot of work with the government of India, the various states, on coastal stabilization on the west coast of India, Maharashtra, and other states. This is now involving a mix of grey and green infrastructure. Well, we currently have colleagues in the field in Bhutan, in the area of Punchaling, where we have slope destabilization, and the question is, how do we deal with that? And also I mentioned yesterday, and I can say with my colleague in Kyrgyzstan here, I mean, we're also doing quite a bit of work now on the implications of glacial melt. Because it's obviously major implications for all of the rivers across Central, South, and Southeast Asia, East Asia. And we had one implications for an investment that we've been involved with the government of Nepal. That was the water intake in Kathmandu, where a GLOF did, very substantial damage. So we're seeing that in many of these situations, an engineering investment in itself will not be sufficient to bring sustainability to the communities and the long-term implications. So maybe I'll leave it there and come back with your next question.
Thank you very much, Noel. I will actually come back to you also on a follow-on question. And now I'd like to turn to Alessandra Fidanza, who has been the brain and engine behind, I will give you my mic, who has been the brain and engine behind the NBSIA project. Great pleasure to work with you on conceiving the approach, Alessandra. And we launched this together with the Ministry of Environment and Energy Security on the 18th. Can you tell us in a nutshell what are the expectations and what this project aims to do, and particularly the gap that it aims to fill?
Thank you so much, Mirey. Just let me stand up because it's too hot. Thank you so much to the speakers who came before me. It is my task today to introduce the new initiative presented by Italy, the Nature-Based Solutions Innovation Accelerator, which targets specifically infrastructure. We would like to help infrastructure to become more resilient through not gray solutions only, but by integrating nature-based solutions. And it's not only my fault, the idea of this new initiative, but it's also thanks to the vision of our Director General, who has a lot of background experience also on critical infrastructure, that we brainstormed together with UNEP colleagues to frame and shape this new initiative. So don't worry about the slides, because I will talk about our challenging initiative, but it's amazing one. Let me tell to Dastan that you forgot to mention how beautiful your country is. Kyrgyzstan, along with other countries of Central Asia, hosts a wonderful landscape. And you just mentioned, also the ADB mentioned the importance also of glaciers. Let's not forget the new project Glaciers to Farm. Why am I connecting with this? Because this new initiative, Nature-Based Solutions Innovation Accelerator, it's not only aimed at providing grants for new ideas, new sound projects on infrastructure. The two geographical scopes are 14 countries in Africa, which are the priority countries of the Italian Piano Mattei, and in Africa we will focus on port infrastructure. While in Central Asia, our target is in general infrastructure for energy, water, urban, and transport. Let's not forget the new Global Gateway Trans-Caspian Corridor, which passes through Central Asia. So we hope that we can also connect with these initiatives. At the beginning of this year, we already carried out some preliminary work. We worked together with Asian Development Bank. We discussed with the Green Climate Fund, with EIB and the EBRD, because specifically we wanted to understand what is the gap between a good idea and the moment that this idea becomes bankable under the perspective of multilateral development banks or IFIs. And we are trying to, together with UNEP, to shape this initiative to provide grants to meaningful ideas that can be, in a second phase, scaled up through additional support. Financial support that doesn't necessarily mean grant. We can team up and blend with other sources of funding. So that is why for us it is very important, extremely important to work back to back with what other main players are already doing in the respective regions. Going to Central Asia, we are closely in touch with ADB colleagues to understand if we can, through our grants, fund additional components of already existing huge investments on infrastructure to demonstrate at the beginning on the small scale how good it is to invest on nature, to invest on the resilience and adaptation component for infrastructure.